This is part two of, I guess I'm going to call it Chaotic Truth is Right. Please bear with me. My voice is still kind of bad, so I may have a hard time, pronouncing certain words and speaking. A few things, I want to talk about and address regarding the so-called black community is, I've always said this to myself, and and I'm being truthful. And the thing is, in this society, um, they don't want you to speak the truth. If the house is on fire, they rather you lie and not say anything. And this so-called black community, it is on fire. Like, it is on fire. And how many more wake-up calls, can they get to say, enough is enough? And I know, it's impossible for one person, maybe a group of people, to control millions of so-called black people. But they have eyes, they have ears to see, a brain to think. Can they not see, realize, and acknowledge the things that they're doing is just out of order? Excuse me. We can continuously blame, the the so-called white man, the government, the Illuminati, things like that, and over and over and over and over, when they do have the power to at least make better choices. Make better choices. But they continue to make these outrageous choices. And it's no wonder why many nations, look at this community as a joke. It's no wonder why nations can come into the so-called black community and make a living. Because it's the choices. I mean, there's so many factors to it, but it's the choices, and like I said in the other video, the accountability. There's no accountability for themselves as individuals. They make bad choices. We're all going to make bad choices, but do they make up for it? Do they correct their mistakes? No, they continue to do it. And again, it's not all, but it's a lot. It's a lot out there that goes on in the so-called black community over and over. It doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter whether they're, rich or poor, or in the ghetto, suburbs, rural. From time to time, they're going to show their their niggers, their Negro moments, and it's annoying, man. And you address it on platforms like YouTube, you probably get taken down for hate speech when you're just frustrated, man. People are, the other nations are making fun of them, and you address it, but you get hated for that. There's no accountability. There's poor choices. There's a few things I want to talk about in this video. One is, and I'm not afraid of them, but when they're in big groups, they can give me bad anxiety. I used to have horrible anxiety, but now I'm a lot better. I'm better at like controlling it. But one thing that I would say gives me anxiety is walking into a place where there's a group of, I'll say, obnoxious, so-called black people, especially at these like basketball events. When I see them on YouTube, and it's a lot of them, it gives me extreme anxiety just watching it. Like, I could never attend them. I would not be able to do it because I would just feel so anxious. My anxiety level would be up to the roof. Just seeing them all together, and especially for something like a basketball. And we all know what goes down in these games, in this culture, in the basketball culture. It's horrible. It's horrible, man. I don't want to get into it, but I've heard and watched videos of the so-called black men getting to fights with refs, other parents, other players. So I guess when I see a gym full of of the so-called black men, I get anxiety. It's not even just that of their behavior. It's just, I guess, their reputation. It's just their reputation, man. It just gives me so much bad anxiety. I can't do it, man. I can't, man. It's just horrible. And you have to like act just like them. You have to act like them. Can't do it. Can't do it. Can't do it. And I think George Carlin, said it best. People as individuals, they're great, they're smart, they're intelligent, but once they're in groups, man, they're the most, dumbest. And it's kind of true when you get a group of them together. Not all of them. A lot of them could be productive, but no. The ones I'm talking about. Once they're together, it's horrible. It's horrible, man. It is horrible. It gives me anxiety. I feel what others are feeling because of the reputation. Hey, I don't want to feel this way, but it is what it is. This is the truth. You ain't gonna do nothing about it. I can't do nothing about it. This is what it is. Move on. But then again, it goes back to making choices. And the choices that they make is what is causing this anxiety. And I've always said that they ruin everything. Like, I don't want to say everything. And again, it's not all. There are a lot of productive things, but unfortunately, the negative is a highlight. And I never made these. I've been thinking about this for years, and this is the first time actually me addressing this. I've never complained to anyone about this up until this point. And they do ruin everything. They just do. It doesn't matter how rich they are. It doesn't matter what was created and built for them. And what specifically I'm talking about is things like the NBA and the NBA All-Star game. It is now horrible. I haven't not watched or cared for it in years now. But just through the highlights and the things you read and watch and hear, it's horrible. It is horrible. And it goes back to them. It is them that is the problem. And no one wants to say that. No one wants to bring up race. But the truth is, it is them. It's only them we see complaining and being lazy and not showing up. It's all on them. They don't realize the power that they have. Or maybe they do. And with the NBA All-Star game, NBA in general, man, it was even though it's rigged and scripted and all that, I still look at it as, since I was born and raised in it, not in the NBA per se, but I watched it growing up, but it was always, and it seemed so prestigious. It had some kind of value to it. And tradition and respect. But now it's like they just threw it away. They're just destroying it. They're destroying it. They ruined the NBA All-Star game. It's them. They're the ones that majority are playing in these games. It's them that are ruining it. From the whole event, it's just trash now. I once said years ago, probably 2003, maybe 2004, because the NBA All-Star game it was so big and special. And I always thought, and I said, like, is the NBA All-Star game bigger than the Super Bowl? This is probably like around the era, the 2001, 2004 time, when it was just so big, interesting. It was exciting. I thought it could have been bigger than the Super Bowl, but they have ruined it. They've ruined it. It's just them. You may get two other, Caucasians or Europeans in there, but at the end of the day, they have ruined it. Where they have to consistently change the format. Like, every year it's something new. It's like, this isn't working. And the problem is not the format. The problem is the players and the Pacific players. They're the problem. They do this everywhere they go. They ruin everything. They ruin it. This is something, I studied and played and almost, like, I would say, worshipped. And to see it in the state that it's in, it turns me off, man. The game that I loved and valued and took care of and studied for years. I mean, when anyone was an All-Star, I looked at that as like a badge of honor. But now when anyone's an All-Star game, in an All-Star, I'm like, whatever. I feel like players today don't even want to be in an All-Star game. And it means nothing. Because they ruined it. They ruined the game. They ruined it. Back in the early thousands, the first half, they were just having fun in the first half. But when the second half came, fourth quarter came, it was go time. It was game time. Game time, man. It was game time. But they can't even do that. There's nothing wrong with having fun in the first half. First half, do your thing. But once second half comes, you got to play hard a little bit. Play a little harder. Give a show or something. Like a show as in a competitive show. But they can't even do that. I didn't even watch today's All-Star, this weekend's All-Star game. I don't even know what happened. But it's always the same thing, man. Dunk contest is crap. And I think the dunk contest, they have like these no-name players who are averaging maybe 1 point per game, playing like 5 games so far. They should be going all out. They should be going all out on it. And they're saying that they should bring in, people from all around the world to participate. So basically, they're going to come here and pretty much, risk their lives for what? A $100, $1,000 check? But when these players are getting paid millions, and they're not even going to risk and put an effort in their dunks. I say they should take a break from the dunk contest for at least 3 years. At least 3 years, give it a break for at least 3 years, and then come back. Or do it, every other year have a dunk contest. Because I think now, after we've seen almost everything, and once we see every kind of dunk, it's over. And as soon as you replicate it, people say, "Oh, you're copying, and you can't get nothing new." I think the dunking has reached its plateau in terms of normality. The only way I think you can make it more exciting, let's say in the next 10 years, is having people dunk over Shark Tanks, dunking over fire, trampoline dunking, jumping over, sharp spikes. That would probably get people more exciting, maybe. But I think dunking, it reaches it. You can only do so much, and certain people are going to find little new things now and then, but eventually it's going to reach this plateau. So that's why I say they should always take breaks from it. They don't have to do it every year. But anyways, yeah, they ruin that. They ruin everything. They ruin everything. Unfortunately, man. And just like they ruined the NBA, they've ruined music. And I want to know something. I always wondered this, like, like when it comes to so-called black students or children. Anytime they want to, mostly, I'll say 90% of the time, maybe 80% of the time, and a child wants to pursue a music career, it's almost always rap or hip hop. Where are these, so-called black children that want to inspiring to be country singers? I know there are, but you never hear about these inspiring country singers. Inspiring, I know R&B's kind of dead now. You don't hear about these inspiring R&B artists anymore. You don't hear about any inspiring, musical instrument players, classical music players, rock, players. You don't hear that. It's always just everyone now, every black kid now can only do rapping, and it's shit rap, and it's the music is horrible. Music isn't even that good. Anyone can make music like that. It's horrible. I mean, you have no knowledge in it. No context. It's just boring. Back in the day, man, these guys would drop some knowledge in their songs. Wouldn't be the whole song would be full of knowledge, but from time to time they'll drop knowledge in their songs. And then 10 years of listening, you're like, oh, they said that? That's what I like about old school music, because sometimes you can listen to a song for years and years and years, and then years down the road you listen again, wait, they said that? I mean, you don't get that anymore because these songs are just so dumb and trash. But why do so-called black children can only inspire to be rappers all the time? It's always rapping and it's trash. It's trash, man. Songs are trash. Your flow is trash. The way you sound is trash. It's not good, man. No, it has no soul to it. No energy. I'm not saying you'll always have to be conscious and all that, but it's it's nothing there. And a lot of these rap songs in the early thousands, most of them that I like aren't even are materialistic. But I would say, hey, you can still listen to it and still enjoy the flow and the rhythm to the songs. Some of Nelly's songs, Air Force One, Grills. I'm not materialistic. I've never worn Air Force Ones in my life. I ain't getting no grills. But the Grills song, Air Force Ones, his Batter Up song, they're nice to listen to. Some of these sexualized songs Tail Feather, they're nice to listen to. A Juvenile song, what's it called again? Slow Motion for Me. Even though it's very promiscuous or whatever, you can still enjoy these songs and not be a sex head. I enjoy these songs. They have a nice flow, nice chorus and all that. But today it's all these songs sound the same and they're trash. No creativity. Back in the day, everyone had their own style. Ludacris, Usher, Jay-Z, Nas, Kanye, 50 Cent, man. Even though I'm not too much into the gangster thing, but some of 50 Cent's songs were actually good. I never held a gun in my life. I ain't never gangbanged a day in my life, but I can listen to it and be like, hey, this song still sounds really good. But today it's you can't find that. Even back in the day when, I say during the 2010s, 20s, where, you listen to some rock songs, some pop songs, they didn't sound good, you didn't really like it, but eventually, you still could find ways to enjoy these songs. But today it's like you can't. It's like they're horrible. And one thing I hate, oh my God, going back to them, those people. One thing I hate, like you're in the gym shooting baskets, or you're alone, you're focused, whether you're running a scrimmage or practicing on your own, and you're just locked in. And you don't even have your music on. One thing I hate about these people, man, is they'll come into the gym and play their horrible trash rap music. They come to the gym with their boombox and play their horrible trash rap music. Music is so trash. It's so, in a way, it's so disrespectful to come playing your trash music. They don't even ask, hey, do you mind if I play trash music? They don't have to ask like that. Please ask. They just come and playing it. A lot of them just don't have no accountability, no choices, no self-respect, lack of awareness, lack of survival instincts. God, man, it's always them. Why can't they play some country music or something? Pop music, some 80s, some 90s, Michael Jackson music. It's always this trash rap music. I don't know if I can call it rap. It's just trash. Why can't they play other types of music? Why can't it be classical? God, man. Why is it always just rap? Always just rap, man. And I know if I'm not into the hood crap. I don't give a shit about no hood crap. You ain't even own the hood, man. If the so-called government wants to take your hood, they can take it if they want to. So you ain't own no damn hood. But like I don't like. What I'm trying to say is like, you in certain places, if you play country music, rock music, old 80s, 90s music, these people will probably make fun of you for that. And that's why a lot of people, settle for crap rap music. It's because, of these people would humiliate them for listening to that kind of music. And no, man, you gotta settle for trash rap music when there's a lot more beautiful music out there. And you can't listen to it because you're in the so-called hood. A so-called crummy, rundown hood. And you gotta listen to crap music. That's like that's how it is. That's how it is in the so-called black community. That's how it is. And that's why, they're the way they are. And and music does have its power and energy and all that, but why couldn't music, manipulate me? I listen to 50 and all those, rappers, Tupac, Biggie, and all of them. But I ain't never bust no gun. I ain't no wanna be no gangbanger or a sex head or none of this nasty stuff. Even till this day, I will listen to, Tupac, 50 Cent, all that, and none of them makes me want to go out and do something stupid. And that just goes to show, this is just me talking, that just goes to show the intelligence of the so-called black community. How music can just manipulate it to do and act a certain way. And that just means, again, it goes back to you can't make choices, a lack of choices, a lack of accountability. To even say, hey, I made a mistake, let's not do it anymore. But they're gonna keep digging their hole. End of the day, they're not even gonna blame themselves for it. They're always gonna blame someone else, government, for their own choices. Again and again and again, and that's why they're in the state that they're in. And we can't say anything about it, even if you're white or black or Asian. You can't say anything about it. You gotta keep your mouth shut and just watch them behave the way they behave. Hey, I ain't done nothing. If anything, I've been a representative of my community for years, some way, somehow. I stay out of trouble. I don't look for trouble. I make mistakes. I made mistakes. I try to correct it the best I can. Keep accountable to myself. But you look at the so-called black community as a whole. Again, not all of them. A lot of them are accountable. But it's just that, that section that you notice. It's like we notice the pink elephant in the room. We're gonna notice it, and that's the problem here. Is that pink elephant? Everything is clean and whatnot, but we're not gonna acknowledge that. We're not gonna praise the clean spots on the floor. We're going to acknowledge the pink elephant because it's in the way and it's bothering us and it's bothering everyone and it's causing a ruckus. Black community, man, it's I mean, it's not all, but it's I can't even find words for it, but it's bad. And you compare it to other nations, it's really bad. You have so many opportunities to do things, and it's you don't. And it kind of goes back to being lazy and accountability and all those stuff. These people rather listen to people talk than actually take action. They rather listen to false promises because this guy can speak well than actually take action. And if you can, build a great home and family, man, you're doing a lot. All you have to do, I'm not saying you have to go and change the world or the entire community or be a Malcolm X or be this hero to save the whole entire world. It starts with your family and yourself. If you can do that and make them into productive human beings, then you can slowly cause and create a chain reaction. You create productive, smart children. They get married. They do the same thing. And you create a chain reaction. Maybe small, may stop a little bit, may halt, but you're at least doing something and you're not contributing to, hoodness and all this crap like listening to rap music. But it starts with yourself and your family. If you can do that, that's all you need. That's all you need at this point. This whole unity thing where we all have to come together is bullshit. We've been together for so long and it's still bullshit. Nothing has changed. People just want to listen and be freeloaders. That's all it is. And no control, no self-awareness, no survival instincts. Last thing I want to talk about kind of goes back to wanting to just listen to people speak. And it's Dr. Umar Johnson, FD, and from the get-go, when I first heard from him, could have been 2013 around that time, I think, or it could have been 2015. And when I first heard of him and all that, I already knew he was kind of suspect. I didn't fall for his scheme. Because I've been on YouTube for a long time and before that and I've seen it all. I've seen scammers, people that are fake. So to see this guy and he's talking well and you're kind of hearing things you want to hear and it's informational, informal. I just thought he was suspect from the get-go. But, you kind of give him a chance. You still kind of listen to his videos. But then, things slowly start to unravel. And I was right, pretty much. I was right. My instincts were right. And this guy is just full of it. He's just a scammer. But the so-called black community, they have, fed Umar probably millions of dollars just because he can talk well and say what they want to hear. So they will go to these events, pay him, donate for this false hope, and then they have to go back home with no action, no plan, just waiting for the next Umar show. And they watch his videos, and they gotta wait again, and there's no action. And yet they're still in the state that they're in. Not all of them, but a lot of them think just watching and listening to this guy is a solution. When he's nothing more just a scammer, just another YouTuber scammer who's can't even take care of his own children. Like, see, this black community, it's like, like, I don't want to say they're dumb, but I mean, people have exposed this guy every way, every how, man. There are so many videos about him, of him exposing himself, others exposing him about his children, his family, where he's living, how he does with the money, his lifestyle, the way he speaks. It's all out there, but the so-called black community is still, financing his lifestyle. So it really doesn't matter if he's a so-called deadbeat. It doesn't matter if he's a scam, but as long as he can talk good, talk well, make people laugh and chuckle, the so-called black community are going to stop and listen and be at awe, while their whole lives are in shit. While they're looking for solutions, and a lot of black people, they're just lazy. They can't help themselves. That's why they rely on YouTubers like Umar Johnson. They rely on these so-called scholars like Umar Johnson. And it's the same cycle again and again. How many more people need to expose him? And I knew this. I was like maybe 23 at the time when I first heard about this guy, and I instantly knew this guy was a little bit suspect. And I was right. I was right from the beginning. But this is what the black community gets. This is what they rather produce. And Umar Johnson, in a way, people might tag me for this, but he's really no different from MLK and Malcolm X. All they, I won't say all they did, but what we know from them is their speeches. They just go around, talking speeches. Then they die. Well, he's still alive, but the other two die, and a few others die, and it's like, that's it. The show's over. Like, it's just, the black community is just they're so easy to be manipulated when you have the right techniques, the frequency. And I've always wondered, like, why did they just stop? Even though one of our beloved leaders were killed off, why did they stop? Where's the intensity? They just quit and stop. And I could go into it and all the other conspiracy stuff, but from on the forefront, you gotta ask yourself, why did they stop? King died, Malcolm X died, and what else? That's it. Leaders are gonna die. Followers are gonna die. Why not keep going? It's gonna happen. You gotta keep going, right? But no. In the end, we get, I love rap music to an extent, but I know it was used as a tool to brainwash the so-called black community. It could have brainwashed me. I like listening to it, but I don't mimic what they do. I like to listen, bump my head, and move on. But got this whole rap culture, thug culture, street culture. Now scam culture on YouTube. And again, I know there's a lot of good so-called black communities out there, black families out there doing well, doing right for the community. I know that. There are out there. I give you respect to that. But unfortunately, it's like, you live in a neighborhood and there's one house on fire. We aren't going to acknowledge the houses that are not on fire. We know that. We're going to put our attention on the house that is on fire. We're going to focus on that pink elephant. So that's the way I feel. I know people are going to hate this. I really don't care, man. It's just the way I think and I feel. Imagine that. You think and feel a certain way. It's going to trigger people. I've been on YouTube since 2006. I've heard various opinions and views, and I don't get triggered. I understand. You got to understand something. Everyone's going to have an opinion. Whether they agree, disagree, some things you never heard about, who cares? Listen to it, accept it, move on. Like, why does it always have to be a competition? Man, and you got to realize, people in general are just going to do what they're going to do what they want to do. They're going to do what they're been conditioned to do. And one person can't change that. It takes a machine to change it. And if you get triggered by one person and their opinion or fact triggers you, the problem is you. The problem is you. But anyways, let the lightning be our sword and the sun be our shield.